Hello, everyone. My name is Jack Archer. I served actually as the organizer for PJALS for about 18 months here, and I am so excited to be your MC today. I want to start off by thanking our community partners for all of their support in this event. Excuse me while I read them off so I don't miss anyone. We've got the ACLU of Washington. We have Agents for Collective Liberation, Spokane. We have Inatai Foundation, Inland Northwest Unitarian Universalist Community. Thank you, Judith Butler, Nuestras Raíces Centro Comunitario. There, I did it. Symbio Consulting, UFCW 3000, Western State Center, and the YWCA. Thank you all for joining us today. Special thanks to table hosts, volunteers, all of you who came here and brought your friends here. Thank you to the videography team. We appreciate you. And I want to take a moment. I'm not going to quite do the full Liz Moore of the raise hand exercise. I don't think I can do it justice. But I do want to see how many of you have stepped up for the first time to be a table host this year. That is awesome. And how many of you, if we can just look around the room, how many of you have been here in support of PJALS, being a part of this community for the last year, 5 years, 10 years? I want to see raised hands everywhere. This is our community. And how many of you are brand new? Keep your hands up. Everybody just keep your hands up. This is our community here. This is beautiful. Thank you to all the monthly donors. As someone who's now in the position of being an ED, Liz, you did not warn me. I'm now the ED at Spokane Community Against Racism, and what I have learned is that monthly donors are the lifeblood of an organization. So thank you so much for being the lifeblood of this community. And a shout out to all active PJALS members, people who volunteer to plan actions and events, all of you who show up and make things successful, all of you who show up at marches, work to mobilize us at City Council, and all the other various ways that we make our voices heard. Thank you so much for being this community. I'm gonna take a moment to talk about who we are, because I haven't fully named us yet, right? We all know why we're here, but let's think about it for a second. Because to be a community dedicated to the struggle for peace and justice is to be in continuing awareness of violence. This place that we call Spokane was founded through the violence of settler colonialism. Or rather, these municipalities we call Spokane were founded through settler colonialism. This place that we call Spokane was stewarded for thousands of years, since time immemorial, by the Spokane people and inland Salish tribes. And that struggle against the violence of this place's founding continues, as do so many other struggles that are in the bones of this place. The struggles the struggles for peace and justice, despite the unchecked capitalism of robber barons, despite institutions of racism that have been through and through anti-Asian sentiments that led to the exploitation and then later the exclusion of thousands of people, some of whom had to move to Seattle, but some of whom are still here. We are still here because it's in the bones and the roots of this place to struggle for peace and justice. The Peace and Justice Action League of Spokane is a part of that lineage of struggle, and for the last 50 years has continued that struggle and is still here. So honestly, it's a huge honor to be emceeing this event. And I want to take a moment to introduce some of the people who you're going to hear from, who are going to tell you about that history, who are going to tell you about us and how we can keep sustaining the struggle together. First off, I'm going to welcome to the stage, we have Ken Isserlis, who worked with the Fellowship of Reconciliation and the Spokane Peace and Justice Center in the mid-1970s. He was one of the 3 original staff when the Peace and Justice Center opened in 1975, which we mark as our founding. He's been in Spokane since then, where he practiced law for about 30 years, before retiring to become, as he puts it, a semi-professional grandfather, now with 7 grandchildren. Then, of course, I want to welcome to the stage Rusty Nelson, the former co-director of PJALS, along with his wife, Nancy, on staff for 22 years. And then our current executive director, my mentor and friend, Liz Moore. She put effort into her bio, so I'm gonna read a little bit, and then I'm gonna say one other thing because I have the mic and she can't stop me. Liz knows that social justice organizing and movement building is both an art and a science. It's something that she taught me, and that people power happens when we come together with fire in the belly, authentic relationships, shared values, a plan to win, and the know-how to mobilize. She's also someone who, at this particular and difficult moment, continues to sustain her fellow organizers and leaders with her love and support. So please, welcome all of them to the stage. I want to start by hearing from Ken Isserlis.
Thank you. Rusty and I got up without using the stairs, so we're off to a good start here. There you go. And you're the young one. Father Frank Costello, properly labeled the Visionary, is one of the pictures in this slideshow today. In 1975, Father Costello and others, including Jim Daigle, then a student and now still to this day a great friend of PJALS, decided to open the Spokane Peace and Justice Center. Looking back, this was both an experiment and an act of faith. An experiment because no one knew if this was the right thing at the right time in the right place, and an act of faith, not necessarily religious faith, but just Frank and Jim's and others' absolute belief that it would work. They gave us the keys to a building and a small budget, and they supported and encouraged us. We really didn't know what we were doing, but Joe Albert, Kathleen Smith, and I, later joined by Matt Hatcher, did somehow get some things done. We worked on world hunger, militarism, the death penalty, and nonviolence. Mac wrote a report on the power structure in Spokane, and we supported Yvonne Wanro, a courageous Native American woman whose appeal of her criminal conviction resulted in a landmark decision forever changing the law of self-defense. And Frank and the others were right. This was the right thing at the right time in the right place because people responded. They came to our events. We never had amazing events like this, but they came to our events. They signed up for our newsletter. They joined our steering committee. They donated and invited us to speak to schools, churches, and community groups. The local newspaper was also good to us. Just one example, the Spokesman Review years ago had its own Sunday magazine, and one week they had a cover story and a lengthy story inside about the Spokane Peace and Justice Center. Frank Costello died on May 23rd, 2016, a few weeks before his 95th birthday on June 12th. As an aside, in my view, if there's a heaven, and if anyone's getting in, it's him, because he is a visionary. Sadly, Frank's not the only one we lost. Kathleen Smith and Deb Albert have also died. Again, Kathleen was one of the original staff members, and Deb was married for more than 40 years to another original staff member, Joe Albert. I'd like to think that Frank and Deb and Kathleen would agree with me that the best thing we did in those early years isn't anything we actually did, but what we started. Because from that befuddled, clumsy seed has grown what is now the mighty Peace and Justice Action League of Spokane. The very and mighty indeed, the very embodiment of good trouble with its strong, smart, and properly loud voice. In these times, these awful, awful, awful times when decency is considered weakness and cruelty is considered strength, that voice is more important than ever. And 50 years in the making, PJALS, including all of you, has shown now that it's ready to meet this moment. So here's to the next 50 years. Many of you look young enough that you could be here then. Not all of us, but many of you look young enough that you could be here then. If that happens, you may find, as I have, that while 50 years is a long time, somehow it goes by very fast. That's it for me. Thank you, and thanks for coming today.
Then and now, resistance is vital. Think learning, safety, warming your home, cooking. Resistance to static and violent public attitudes brought forth PJALS 50 years ago. Your resilience brings us to a moment to reflect and to renew the violent struggle, the nonviolent struggle for peace and justice. One violent attitude 40 years ago was that the U.S. must dominate the world with the threat of nuclear annihilation. 4 PJALS people resisted, blocking the infamous white train bearing nuclear weapons components. Spokane's first civil resistance action since the Wobblies and the beginning of Nancy Nelson's criminal career. Against the grain, we took on South African apartheid and Spokane's role in propping up that evil. With the grain, we defended minority rights at home and then challenged the pace that let so many fall through the cracks. We protested military operations and spending, exposing our community to the possibilities of peace. We built upon the work of the Central America Solidarity Association to oppose the deadly U.S. policies in Latin America. Sometimes resistance is noticed. Our Howard Street office was vandalized over our stand for LGBTQ rights. Media reports brought us new members, donations, and solidarity. After our first execution vigil in Walla Walla, we showed up in print and broadcasts across the country. Sometimes it's not noticed. In 1992, Nancy defied the expectations of everyone who'd tried to organize area indigenous nations and religious leaders by producing a colorful, meaningful counter-quincentennial event. The next day, the Spokesman Review carried a solitary photo of a smaller observance in Denver. Making news carried too much weight with us at times. It was really more important to empower our community, bring joy to street theater, trainings, peacekeeping, and truth-telling. Success could mean another meeting with Tom Foley, more people at our weekly Fairchild Vigil, or more Gonzaga students in our nonviolence classes for School of Americas in Fort Benning. Some folks say we never won. Others thank us for showing up. Or recall Spokane was once a hopeless case for LGBTQ liberation, or minimum or good family wages. Gratuitous resistance, like war, is of no use in the cause of justice. Just and kind resistance requires creative nonviolence. Talk of the past, our nostalgia, must include failures and missed opportunities along with inspiration and lessons learned. The present and the future, particularly Saturday, demand our resistance to 21st century imperialism. Keep up the good work.
Just really feeling really full of gratitude right now for these two folks and all the people who have sustained the Peace and Justice Action League of Spokane for 50 years. It's like statistically unlikely, but here we are. I want to take a minute to talk about the Salish School of Spokane. Jack gave the context of where we are in the lands of the interior Salish peoples. And on the table outside, there are flyers about the Salish School of Spokane's capital campaign. And I want to urge you to not only support PJALS today, but to also support the Salish School of Spokane. They are restoring this critically endangered Salish language. They say we are working to heal ourselves from intergenerational trauma by reconnecting people to our culture and a caring community. Adults and children who participate in the programs are healing and thriving. We act as a resource hub for the families we serve by connecting them with enrichment experiences, mental health, substance abuse, and the housing resources that they need to thrive. We help meet people's most basic needs for connection to healthy culture and community, and then provide wraparound support in their journey of transformation. If you're not familiar with the work of the Salish School, I really urge you to check it out. It is some of the most transformative, revolutionary work that is happening in our region, and it is based in indigeneity and language revitalization in a way that is like a spiral of spirals in terms of the work, the impact of the work. There's a QR code to donate on the back of the flyer that you can get on the table, and I really encourage you to take one, check it out, and support them as they are seeking to build their own building on the banks of the Spokane River, where the forest and the river will be part of the classroom. So please support the Salish School. I found the Peace and Justice Action League when I was a high school student in the radical hotbed of Deer Park, when we were about to go to war against Iraq that time around in 1990 and 91. I felt strongly that the question of war deserved critical thinking. In contrast, what I saw in my high school and really across the country was lazy, racist thinking that treated the question of war like the question of whether we should support Deer Park or Riverside in the football game. Clearly, our side was the only right side, and that's all there is to that. I didn't have big political theories about imperialism, but I knew war was serious. And so, because there was no Google in 1991, I looked up peace in the phone book. And luckily for me and my life, there was the Peace and Justice Action League of Spokane. There it was. And I called, and that voice you just heard from Rusty Nelson answered the phone and invited me to the youth program. And my friend and I made the trek through the farmland to exotic, cosmopolitan downtown Spokane. That is what it felt like. That youth group was an oasis for me, where my ideas and questions were respected, and where critical thinking was encouraged. The advisor was the iconic Mary Pat Truthheart, who you'll see in the video. Yeah, woo to Mary Pat, yeah. Together, the youth group members held a benefit concert, learning the nuts and bolts of an event budget, and how important it is that the person who said they would make the flyer follows through in making the flyer. But who had planted the seed that led to my looking up piece in the phone book? My Spanish teacher. Minute for our teachers, huh? Yeah. My Spanish teacher, Mrs. O'Halloran, Teresa O'Halloran, who was part of the Peace and Justice Action League community. One day she put her hand in the chalk dust and put a white handprint on the blackboard. And she told her classroom of 15 and 16-year-old small town and farm kids that this was called La Mano Blanca. And in El Salvador, if this is on your door, it means there's 5 days until the death squad comes for you. And then she told us who funded and trained those death squads. My own country, the United States of America. Teresa O'Halloran changed the course of my life that day, and she did it because she was part of the Central America Solidarity Association and the Peace and Justice Action League community. People came together in the PJALS community then for the same reason we do now, although the ecosystem of progressive organizing in Spokane has changed so much. The reason then and the reason now is the warmth of community, the imperative and the relief of participation, the urgency of now, the satisfaction of impact through collective action. And I've experienced this myself, as I know many of you have. When I was an intern in the late 90s, in the PJALS office, when gay-obsessed bigot zealots were gathering signatures on an anti-gay initiative, PJALS was giving office space to the Hands Off Washington organizer, a gay man who was running the Decline to Sign Bigot Busters campaign in a community where there was very little friendly space. And I saw how essential and how easy it is to share resources. My very first union picket line was as a PJALS intern, when we went to support the Kaiser aluminum workers on their picket lines. With PJALS, I learned to gather signatures when I coordinated volunteers on the minimum wage initiative. That minimum wage initiative is the reason that our minimum wage in Washington goes up every January 1st. That was because of volunteer signature gatherers in Spokane and across the state. If you've ever gathered signatures, you know it's real hard to get people to make contact with you. So we dressed up as clowns so that they would look at us and then we could get in the conversation. Somewhere on the slideshow is a picture of 20-something me in my clown outfit. I'm so proud and simultaneously so humble to have been the executive director of PJALS for 16 years and to be here as we celebrate our 50th anniversary. I have so much love and admiration for all the people who started and sustained this wonderful organization. And I want to particularly thank 5 groups. One is the peacekeepers, the volunteer peacekeepers who show up so consistently and work together so beautifully, embodying the belief that we keep each other safe. All of the people who've participated in race class analysis workshops followed by canvassing, breaking 3 rules at once, talking to strangers about racism and politics. Our really phenomenal steering committee members who chart our direction together and who support the well-being of staff, prioritizing healthcare coverage, 36-hour work week, and retirement benefits, a rarity in organizing. And our really fantastic staff team, Development Director Shar Lichty, Community Organizer Chantel Jackson, Digital Organizer Travis Ray, who you see taking pictures. This is his first benefit, so give him a little hello when you see him. There he is. Operations Coordinator James Hires, and youth organizers, 4 youth organizers on staff, Foster Transu, Nico Jagger, Victoria Tashler, and Fenrir Close. And soon we'll introduce you to our new regional organizer who will be working countywide. When we say PJALS is an intergenerational organization, I see it in my own family. My parents have been longtime members. My mom is here today. And imagine my delight, my immense delight that my son Jack has participated in our Young Activist Leaders program for 3 seasons. All the All the moms, like, put your hand on your heart. I had the pleasure of being present at the first session of this fall's Young Activist Leaders Program on Friday, when more than 30 young people gathered and named that they were there for a range of issue passions and a shared longing and determination to be part of making change happen. The youth organizers ran the session. My role was mainly to provide pizza. Outside the window, as we gathered in the downtown public library, we were greeted by a rainbow over the river. We are in a time of immense crisis and immense potential as we face this fascist power grab. It's an important time to learn from movements in our own history and around the world. We know that wannabe dictators behave in actually very predictable ways. They will try to stoke fear and chaos to keep us off balance. They will make threats to get people to obey in advance. And they will seek to weaponize fear, racism, homophobia, transphobia to target group after group after group to keep us divided and apart. Researchers looked at 35 cases of countries that had democratic structures that backslid toward authoritarianism in the last 30 years. With no civil resistance movement, only 7.5% of countries stopped backsliding. With a civil resistance movement, 51.7% stopped the authoritarian slide. There are no guarantees. And we, in this room, and the movement that we're part of, are each other's best bet. Successful movements also have patterns. Successful movements sustain mass, diverse participation. Successful movements expand the repertoire of nonviolent tactics. Yes, protest. Yes, building alternatives. And yes, creative non-cooperation with authoritarianism in small and large, individual and collective ways. Successful movements elicit loyalty shifts among key sectors. Diverse participation in some level of resistance also means business, media, security forces. There is room for everyone. We need everyone. Successful movements maintain relationships, maintain discipline, and maintain resilience to make repression backfire. I don't know if we can do it, but I believe that we can do it. I want to close my remarks. Yeah. I'll share what I've been saying to myself, the quote from Gandalf from The Lord of the Rings. Despair is for those who know for certain. We do not. Marge Piercy ended her poem, The Low Road, by saying, it starts when you care to act. It starts when you do it again after they said no. It starts when you say we and you know who you mean. And each day you mean one more. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much to all three of our speakers. Can we give them all of them? Can we give all of them one more round of applause? In a moment, as is being set up, I believe we've got a video coming up here that's going to show some highlights of the history that we've all heard about. It'll hopefully inspire us for the future of continued peaceful struggle that we've got ahead. So I'm just going to look to the videography team, or not the videography team, whoever's running this. Are we ready to go? Is it ready to play? Are we ready to go? All right. I hope you enjoy this. Do a little one of those.
I'm Nancy Nelson. I worked at PJALS from 1985 to 1987, and from 1990 until 2009. That was a few years ago. At the time, it was actually the Peace and Justice Center. It was housed at Gonzaga University, and the then director told me, this is your desk and just figure out what you want to do. And that was it.
The thing that probably I value most about PJALS is it is ultimately about education and about conversation and dialogue. I have always thought of PJALS as the conscience of the community.
There's an on-ramp with PJALS where you can kind of get your feet wet and get involved at your own pace. And then also learn and grow while you're doing that. And I think that PJALS does a great job of fostering that dialogue there.
Well, and back in the day, I was the advisor to the first Youth for World Awareness group that spawned Liz Moore, woohoo.
As a youngin', it is good to see that there are people who've been doing this work for a very long time. I think, especially Liz has been a mentor to me in so many respects. So then getting involved with PJALS, which is so intergenerational. And the YALP program has really grown since I did it back in 2017 and 2019.
I'm so happy to see what YALP has turned into.
I heard about the Young Activist Leaders Program via a screenshot of an email of a screenshot.
PJALS has continued to evolve over time. So I think PJALS presents opportunities for people in the community as well as people who are more directly involved in the organization. Just to find like-minded people is really important.
I was really interested in the community building aspect of being around my peers who have similar values and missions and goals.
Virtually all our friends have been protesters.
The people who I've encountered in PJALS over 30 plus years have been some of the kindest, most solid people I've ever met.
Yeah, whenever I walk into the community building, it's always I think the key for me has really been that emphasis on community. Getting plugged into PJALS has just been a wonderful experience in so many respects because the community is just so many great people. I've met friends through PJALS.
So you never know what can happen, what PJALS can do for all aspects of your life.
My husband and I, we worked together for, 17, 18 years in the same office for all that time and really, really enjoyed it.
Seeing elders doing the movement and doing it right and still being involved, y'all have seen some shit.
And then Nancy, I see you've got a list.
Yes. The first time I was arrested was on the track stopping the nuclear missiles. With two other friends, I started the Washington Coalition to Abolish the Death Penalty. And that really was a primary work of mine for many, many, many years. We worked a great deal starting in the mid-'80s, and I'm still doing it now for the liberation of Palestine. I think I've been arrested 13 times. Rusty and I have FBI records. We're on their list. We're having to learn how to maintain some positivity in the face of a whole lot of shit.
It can often feel like you want to have all the answers immediately, but that's not possible. Nobody has all the answers immediately. And so being able to hear these lessons that people have learned, what keeps you in the fight?
It wasn't all serious. It was that we had a lot of fun.
Kind of an optimistic person anyway. Like my husband and I joke that I wake up every day going, what's going to happen to me today? And he wakes up every day going, what's going to happen to me today? I don't think we want you to pay hyperdulia to us, maybe a little bit. But I feel as though we do have some things that we can share, that we can, people talk about being a mentor. And I think I like this whole notion of co-mentoring because I hope you know that you youngins are an inspiration to those of us who are, do I have to protest this same old shit all over again? I mean, it's like, whoa. But we always had some hope.
I think that we as young people, we don't need to reinvent the wheel. It's very much like a drawing from experience while also adapting to changing circumstances and new realities.
It really paves the way for me to be able to come into this organization and be able to receive all this wisdom that people have learned from trial and error, but to like have that personal connection so you can like see your future, you know?
And you're the one making history now.
I think the theme here is connectedness. And so, among individuals, among communities, among the world.
PJALS is very dedicated to an intergenerational lens and having the guidance of people who have been in the movement longer than me. And how do I say this? I think that we've been able to march on this long because we continue building the next generation. It's gonna be all right.
And we organized a 24-hour vigil in a snowstorm. Wow. Our office had been smashed. Wow. Apologizing to the Native people in Spokane.
Wow. Wow. Wow.
That was fun.
Yeah. I don't have the answer, or else maybe I'd have a different sort of position in the world. Supreme Commander of the Universe comes to mind. I'm hoping that our paths cross again. Yes. Seriously. Yeah, at some point, even if I can't be at the luncheon, you'll say, that's my bitch up there. Yes. Things. Okay, I think I'm starting to ramble, so it might be time.
That was lovely. Even in struggle, there is humor, and in fact must be. We have 3 more awesome people ready to take the mic. First, there is Emerald Fitzpatrick. They are a therapist, witch, and former political organizer who enjoys writing, getting lost in yarn-related hobbies, gaming cozily, or hanging out as a proud non-binary cat lady. They are a graduate of PJALS Young Activist Leaders Program and a former steering committee member, and just an all-around cool person. After Emerald, we'll have, and I hope I say this correctly, Victoria Taschler. Uses she, he, and they pronouns. They're a graduate from Spokane Falls Community College's photography program, have explored the connection between art and identity, and are intrigued by societal and interpersonal relations. Activism and community are her commitment as a multidisciplinary artist, and he believes expression is inherently interconnected with the world. Victoria has resided in many states, but feels most love for Spokane. His other passions include skateboarding, hiking, moshing at concerts, studying geography, and playing his band Flyborn. They are one of PJALS' newest staff members as one of the junior youth organizers. And then after Victoria, we have our last, well, not our, yeah, I believe our last person to take the mic for today. Myself excluded, we've got Puyan Lam, an immigrant from Hong Kong who has been a resident of Spokane for more than 20 years. She works as a professor of sociology at Eastern Washington University and has served in several community organizations and is a current member of the PJALS Steering Committee. I'll give them a moment to take the stairs, and let's give them a round of applause.
Hi, I'm Emerald. I also go by Fitz, and I'm totally thrilled to be asked to be here. And my husband and I traveled down from Pullman to make it, and we just moved to Pullman in like July. And I have to say that Spokane is so spoiled to have an organization like PJALS. Moving to a new city has only made me more grateful for the 10, 15 years I've spent volunteering with this organization. I was part of the first year of the return of the Young Activist Leaders Program when I was like 18 or 19. This was the first place where my unbridled enthusiasm for feminism and queer rights were celebrated, and where my potential and present experiences were taken seriously. So that's the first thing that makes this organization so special. I was like half an anarchist and half a diehard organizer for marriage equality in 2012. And all of those contradictions and passions had never been more valued. And as I've been going through this process of moving, I've been thinking about those skills a lot. I went to a meeting of a social justice-oriented group who shall remain nameless in Pullman, and I was like, ooh, they really did not take that meetings that don't suck workshop, did they? And in all seriousness, the thing that I felt missing as I'm exploring ways to be in my new community is the thing that makes PJALS undeniably special, and that's relationships. Like, Liz and Shar didn't just care about me as a member of PJALS, they've always cared about me as a person. They were literally invited to my wedding, in fact. I think several PJALS people were. And that is true of every person I've connected with through this organization. Like, I became homeless in 2017 during one of my stints on the steering committee. And I have this distinct memory of being at a meeting and sharing that, and everyone kind of stopping. Like, everyone's stopping the meeting just to make sure that I had resources and to make sure that I was okay. And I kept going to those meetings when I literally didn't have a home, because PJALS was that home. Because it's not ever just about the issues we're working on, it's how we get there. During a time where I felt disillusioned from everything, I've never felt disillusioned from PJALS. And I think about that moment in relation to PJALS' journey as an anti-racist organization and the white supremacist relationship to time, which is that a thing, which is just that time is a thing that cannot be wasted on relationship building because we have shit to do, right? And I think especially for younger folks, the times we are in feel especially like get shit done time, like the urgency has never felt higher, and yet we've also never felt more alone. And now I'm a therapist who cares a lot about advocacy in my work, and this has influenced me so much. Like, this is the reason I do relational healing, why I do group therapy and offer support groups, because the first step to anyone making change is to feel held in community in some kind of way. Not to say that policy doesn't matter, that the agenda doesn't matter. It's just that the agenda cannot be more important than the people you're sitting next to, the people you're fighting with. And as much as I deeply, deeply miss PJALS living in Pullman, because of everything they invested in me, I know how to do the work. I know how to do the work in Pullman to engage in those change-making connections. I know how to make people feel seen, how to encourage people to have fun in this work, which we need or we will burst into flames, how to see people in their humanness right now and not just for their potential buy-in in the future. We aren't just creating change for a future we are trying to imagine. We have to live out those values and create that culture right now with each other. And luckily, this is the best place to do that. Thank you. Who's next?
Hello, I'm Victoria Tashler. Unfortunately, Ayaka Dohi couldn't be here with us today, so I am filling in. I work for PJALS as one of our newest junior youth organizer hires. And so if I could describe YALP in one word, it would be empowerment. It is a space for turning ambition into change. And it's also a place where we start building those community connections that are so important for making change happen. Before PJALS, I was just going to city council by myself and just like giving them a piece of my mind, because I just have so much frustration and anger around the United States military complex, because it's basically destroyed my relationship with my parents, who are both vets. And so it was actually Nico who texted me one day and was like, hey, I'm running this thing. I think it'd be very awesome if you joined us. And going through that internship was just empowering. We had a tax day rally at the end of it where basically we were fighting for money for the people, not for wars, which is something that holds very, very deep in my heart. And so it was just empowering. And YALP is just a great transition into the world of activism. It's a great transition in finding your community, finding those connections, and developing skills so you feel confident in making change. And being an organizer now, like I'm still a youth. I'm only 20, and I'm teaching people my age how to do this, and it still blows my mind. But I feel fulfilled in my work. I'm able to give back to my community, which is amazing. And I'm still getting my skills developed. I'm still getting those connection buildings and opportunities through trainings, through PJALS, through teaching people how to do this myself. And so the main importance of YALP is just to build up our future leaders and our future activists and our future organizers, because they stay within PJALS. They continue on and they continue building and developing and growing and making that change. And it gives me hope for Spokane. It gives me hope for my generation, for future generations, for the generation that's upcoming, people that are younger than me. And like I said, I'm still young. And there's a lot of work to do, but I think we're making great progress in keeping this fight going. I mean, it's been going on for 50 years now, so we're doing something right. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Po-Yan. It's great to see everyone gathering here today. At this moment in time, as this country is descending fast into fascism with a regime supported by the sophisticated surveillance infrastructure from big tech companies, I would say resistance has to be local and built on trusted relationships in our community. Because I see courage not as an individual trait, but a collective effort. It is community that makes us brave. We remain hopeful under a fascist regime because we know there are people like us right here in flesh and blood who refuse to succumb to tyranny. We are resilient because of the community care we provide to each other. We find wisdom in our community to strategize to play this chess game with the fascists. And our mutual humility may be the best antidote to counter the white supremacy ideology that fuels fascism. I'm thankful that in our collective fight against fascist capitalism in Spokane, we have PJALS. Think about what PJALS has to offer as intergenerational wealth that is built by our members over the last 5 decades. And this generational wealth that I speak of is not about money. It is the relationships PJALS has cultivated person to person, organization to organization. It is our steadfast commitment to peace that spans decades. It is the experience and local knowledge in organizing that we gain from each action, each movement we engage in over time. It is the trust we have sown within communities across the Spokane region through each one of our peacekeeping assignments, week after week, year after year. It is the cohorts of new activists, young and old, that PJALS built through YAP and other organizing trainings it offers. It is our investment in equipping our community members with knowledge, strategies, and tools. The intergenerational wealth that PJALS and its members share is what sociologists call social and cultural capital. And we are here today to build the other kind of capital that we need for our fight against fascist authoritarian capitalism. Money. resistance against authoritarian capitalism, our everyday acts of defiance is how we spend our money. We need to be as strategic as possible to divest and defund the oligarchs. But this is only one part of our strategy. The other part of our strategy is that we need to invest in our community and make it a game. And that's the Stop the Oligarchs game that I've been playing since January. And I realized from this game that as much as I would like to think of myself as a non-materialist, frugal person, boy, do I still have a lot of room to improve. So I bet that with whatever amount you have decided to give to PJALS today, you can win that money back from starving the oligarchs. Yeah. And maybe also you can find your Stop the Oligarchs accountability buddy at the table, and that would double, triple the fun out of this game. So how much do we want to stop the oligarchs by diverting our money to PJALS today? Well, our goal is to raise $37,000, but I think we want to starve the oligarchs even more than that. So how do we do that? So this is the logistical part of things. You can give a variety of ways to help us meet this goal. You can donate monthly, and we just learned about the importance of monthly donation to organizations like PJALS. If you are a monthly donor already, please consider raising your monthly donation or giving an additional gift today. You can give today with the donation envelopes on your table or by using your phone cameras to scan the QR code on the program, which will take you directly to the donation form. You can also give online at www.peacejustice.org 2025 benefits. And we ask you to consider making a 4-year pledge today to begin the next 50 years stronger than ever. And you can also use the donation envelope to ask about gift planning. And remember, each dollar you chose to donate to PJALS is an act of defiance against the fascist capitalist machine. And thank you, and enjoy starving the oligarchs.
Can I see how many of you I can get to say with me one more time the two phrases we said earlier, starting with "this is not normal." Can we try it one more? Wait, let's try it one more time. This is not normal. All right? And then the second phrase, the one that I think is the most important one in the lesson of today, we are our best bet. Can you do that with me? We are our best bet. Thanks, everyone. Have a good afternoon.